Hi there, this is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. You're about to watch a video live stream event that we held in August of 2020 with key players in the online MBA space. But before it starts, I just wanted to let you know that we have an incredible resource of information and analysis on online MBA programs, from rankings to profiles of individual schools to how much they cost to whether they require GMATs or GREs, and a wealth of other information to help you make a really good and smart decision about which program to pursue. If you want to avail yourself of all those resources, go to poetsandquants.com. In the nav bar, you'll see a little tab for online MBAs. Go there, or you can go direct to online/MBA/hub backspace at poetsandquants.com. We're looking forward to seeing you. Enjoy the video.
Well, hello, everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. I wanted to welcome you to the first ever admissions and program event for online MBA programs. Most of you, in fact, I would think all of you, and we have over 1,000 people signed up for this, are interested in pursuing an online MBA experience. And I want to talk a little bit about online MBAs and how basically they've really exploded in popularity and why. What are the advantages of an online MBA versus a conventional program, or for that matter, an evening part-time MBA or an executive MBA? And talk about how many different schools offer these programs. And obviously, there are very different price points and a different quality, different brand value. So there's a lot of things to think about, including formats. But let's just basically talk about the real reason why online MBA programming is exploding. Number one, I think the technology has improved dramatically. And a lot of people who are going into online MBA programs grew up with technology. They're comfortable with technology, and it's really come of age. So that's one thing. So the technology has really allowed for effective learning in a virtual environment. Second thing is really the flexibility of an online MBA program can't be beat. You're essentially able to hold on to your job and your income, which is no small thing when you consider an MBA program, and yet you're able to earn a degree. And the important part of this is you're able to balance your professional and your personal life with your learning experience. Almost all online MBA programs allow you to take a shorter load of coursework at certain times, or the full load. Most online MBA programs allow you to take an accelerated pace, which generally allows you to graduate with a degree within 2 years, or to stretch it out over 5 or 6. That flexibility is incredibly important to full-time working professionals, obviously, because number one, if you get on a really tough deadline and a tough assignment and a project, you can basically rearrange your schedule to give you enough time to complete it satisfactorily at work and really have a good outcome. Other really good thing about an online MBA program is that what you learn in any given day can be immediately applied on the job. That's obviously not true in a full-time MBA program where you have to leave your job, leave your income, and separate pretty much your life, your personal life, for 2 years to get your MBA degree. In the early days, of course, online MBAs were not all that common, and the early players were for-profit schools. So there was a stigma, I think, in getting an online degree. That's no longer true. You have incredible academic institutions with great faculty now delivering online MBA programs, and the variety is amazing. The other interesting flexibility option on online MBAs is that there's not only one intake. There are usually multiple intakes. There are some schools that only have one intake, but most schools have opportunities where you can join the program at different times of the year. So you start when you want to start, not when the academic calendar tells you you have to start. The admission requirements for online MBA programs are not as stringent as they are for full-time MBA programs, and that's largely because people bring more work experience into the programs, and that work experience really matters because that can be shared with your classmates and brought to bear on the assignments that you'll have. So those are some of the basics. There are some misgivings that people have who have not ever had online education. I'd say the biggest misgiving is, what do you sacrifice? And do you sacrifice bonding with classmates? Do you sacrifice something on the network side, where maybe the alumni network may not be as tight or as strong as it would be if you were going to school face-to-face for 2 full years on campus? It turns out, and we've done a lot of study on this, that at the better programs, most people are actually surprised at how deep they can make their connections with classmates and faculty. A lot of the online MBA programs have in-residence sessions that can vary from a simple weekend or two to several weeks or even longer. Some are strictly online, 100%. That's a personal choice. I think if there are in-residence sessions, you're probably more likely to get to know people a little bit better. Some online programs have live classes every single week. They are recorded, of course. So if you can't attend a live class, say you're on a business assignment, you're traveling somewhere, you can always access it video later on. And some online MBA programs do not have live classes. These are all distinctions that will be drawn out as we talk to the different program heads and deans and admission directors over the next 2 days. We have an incredible lineup of schools. You're going to learn everything you ever wanted to know and then some about what an online MBA degree is and the different shapes and forms it comes in, along with the different prices as well. I think this is going to be a really informative session. Incidentally, we have 38 different schools that will be represented over the next 2 days. And these schools are really the creme de la creme of the online MBA universe. There are in fact, more than 300 online MBA programs in the United States alone. Many of them are institutions that are kind of like third tier. And some of the biggest programs are programs that really have very little quality, to be totally honest. And you can look this up on our site, where we have extensive coverage of the online MBA landscape. But you're going to get a real feel for the different options and the things that are important to people. Throughout the 2 days, some of the questions we're going to ask are questions that you want answered. We'll ask things like not only the format and the class profile and the career outcomes, but we'll ask, what do students most treasure about the experience at a given program or a given school? And I think that, the insights you'll get from that will be really helpful in making informed choice about what program is best for you and when it's best. One of the big changes with online MBA programs is that I think that they've had a very big impact on evening programs because it's quite a slog to go 2 nights a week to a school after work to do your MBA over several years. It's a hard thing to do, and the online MBA has made that a lot easier. And because of the more work experience that a lot of online MBA candidates have, many of these programs are kind of like executive MBA programs in terms of the class profiles, more similar to MBAs and part-time MBAs than, of course, full-time MBAs. So I'm really eager to jump in. I hope that you are too. We are going to start off with a session with 4 terrific schools that are in the space. So let me introduce our 4 schools and the people who will represent them. We have Indiana Kelley, which has been a pioneer in the online MBA space. Started their online MBA program many years ago and has one of the larger ones. Howard University, which is actually one of the newest ones. They have two new online MBA programs, one executive MBA, one mainstream MBA, and they just started. So they're the newbie. We have Florida Warrington, and Florida has been a consistent high-ranking online MBA program for quite a few years. They've rated high in every online MBA ranking we have done, as well as U.S. News and World Report. And then we have Cincinnati Linder as well, and we have the Dean and Professor of Management from Linder. So let me start with Indiana Kelley, where we have Sarah Wanger, the Director of Admissions and Enrollment Operations for the Kelley Direct Program. And then we'll go to Howard University, where we have the Enrollment Advisor, who is Karen Pryor. And then at Florida, we have Naz Eringi. I probably screwed up the pronunciation of your last name, even though I've met you before in person, in fact. And then the Dean and Professor of Management, Marianne Lewis at Cincinnati Linder. So let's talk first about just the basics of each of your programs. Let's start with Kelley, as I mentioned before. Tell me what the program is like. How long is it? How often do students have to attend live sessions? Do you have in-residence sessions? How many intakes do you have? I mean, the real basic stuff. Let's start there.
Okay, sounds good. So our program is a 54 credit online MBA program. Our program is online primarily, but we do offer 2 Kelley Connect weeks, which are in residence. And that's at the beginning of the program and the end of the program. And we'll probably talk about how COVID has impacted that in a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we do have required live weekly class sessions. So for every course you're in, you'll have one about hour and a half weekly live session, typically via Zoom, with your faculty member and your peers in your course. So you have some opportunity there to connect with others throughout the whole program. Like I said, the program's 54 credits, but that's actually broken down into half required courses, so our core courses, and the other half is electives. You can take any and all courses from our 7 specialization areas, or you can dive really deeply and actually choose a major and specialize in one particular area. And we have 2 starts per year. We start in the fall and in the spring. We just wrapped up recruiting for our fall 2020 class, a really nice intake there, and then we'll bring in another group for spring 2021.
Terrific.
I don't know if
I should add that there was a recent curriculum upheaval of the Kelley program, which allowed for the taking of more electives and concentrations. Yes. Obviously, a lot of online MBA programs, not all, are more restrictive because, there are time elements involved. So the portfolio of elective courses often tend to be more narrow than they would be in the traditional MBA program. What Kelley was trying to do here is to broaden the impact and increase the number of options for students. How does that work for you?
It's been fantastic. We are hearing such great feedback. We started with that curriculum redesign for the fall 2019 class. So we've had that group go through their core courses already. We've gotten really good feedback both from the students and from the faculty who redesigned those courses and are really feeling like the rubber's down on the road. All of their grand plans over many years of hard work that went into this curriculum redesign is really paying off, and students are giving us amazing feedback on what they're actually able to take back to their workplace. So the program started in 1999, so we certainly have the longevity there, but this brand new curriculum really has showcased, really how you can evolve and innovate throughout the length of your program.
That's great to hear. And, I didn't mention earlier, but I really should for people who may not understand this, but, there's remote instruction, and that's what people in full-time MBA programs are getting. Got in the spring and will get mostly in the fall. And then there's online education. There's a world of difference between the two. And we're going to get into that difference during the 2 days we're here. The basic differences in remote instruction, you're putting a traditional class on Zoom, period. Okay. In online courses, they are designed from the ground up to be online. So they take into account all that's learned in the research on online learning. And there are lots of interventions, there are lots of tricks that are used. The most important thing, frankly, is the amount of time that a professor will spend redesigning their course for the online environment. You basically start with the learning objectives for the students, and then you fill in what has to be taught to meet those learning objectives. In most full-time courses, professors walk in, they teach what they want to teach, and yes, sometimes the learning objectives are met and sometimes they're not, but true online courses are very different from remote instruction. Let's talk to the newest program. So Indiana Kelley, I think might have been the online MBA program among the four here. That's the oldest. So it's kind of neat and cool to go to the newest one, which is Howard University, which really is the first online MBA program at a historically Black college or university. So it brings a certain uniqueness to the whole field. So tell us a little bit about, you have two. There's an executive MBA, which appeals to a slightly older group of students. And then, of course, there is the more mainstream online MBA. Let's talk about the mainstream online MBA first, Karen. Tell us about the design of the program.
Of course. So as mentioned, we do have two programs. More specifically, the online MBA program is considered a part-time MBA program. So previous to 2020, it was an on-campus opportunity. It still follows a lot of the same curriculum that a student would get in our full-time residency program, but this one is specifically designed for a candidate, for a professional that needs that flexibility in their careers. Typically speaking, the candidate that is going to want to engage in this program has at least a minimum of 2 years of professional experience. They are well on their way in their career, but they're really looking for a way to get the basic foundation to go into middle or upper level management as a result of completing our program. The program is 2 years and 6 months to complete at a part-time status. It does include 8 16-week semesters. Within those semesters, you are taking 48 credit hours in total. So that's about 2 courses each of those semesters that are taken simultaneously. And very much like the Kelley program, this program is your classes, I should say, are taken once a week for about 60 to 90 minutes. So you are going to get that in-person instruction. You will have that interaction with your professors, the same ones that teach classes on campus. So you're still getting that cultural feel. You're still getting that classroom feel, that one-on-one feel with the courses. But also it does include 11 main courses and then 5 electives. And again, it's really meant to help that student receive the basic foundation in terms of business. So some of our students are looking to, again, go into management, or some of them are looking to go into entrepreneurship once they've completed our program. We do have 3 opportunities for you to engage in the program throughout the year. So we have a spring, a summer, and a fall cohort. We just wrapped up our fall as well. So we're looking forward to classes being started at the end of this month for our students. And we are in the process of recruiting for both spring and summer of 2021. So it's definitely been a very, very exciting time for our online part-time MBA experience. The feedback thus far has been wonderful from our students. We also, outside of just having them have that experience, we definitely want to make sure that they have a global piece that is built into the program. It is very cohort group team based, so that's very important to our students feeling comfortable in that arena as well. But it's definitely been a great experience thus far, and we're looking forward to continuing to grow and evolve within this first year of us being online.
That's great. Do you have in-residence sessions?
So actually, no, this program does not require our students at any point in time to come to our campus. We do have, again, an opportunity for our students to engage in an international opportunity, of course, keeping track of what is happening in our current environment. But if this was normal times, we do have them engage in that opportunity. But while there is a group or cohort experience, the majority of their presentations, the majority of their group experiences will be happening within our online platform.
Right, great. That's terrific. Okay, Naz, Florida, how are you?
I'm good. I was going to joke and say maybe we need a separate track of our MBA program on just how to say my name. No, I'm just kidding. So we offer at the University of Florida basically two online versions of our MBA program. And I should actually say, similar to Sarah, we've been delivering our online program since 1999. And of course, over the years, we've made incremental improvements, obviously, as technology has changed, as our student needs have changed and evolved. But fundamentally, what we do is we offer two types of programs. We offer a one-year accelerated program that's 32 credit hours for those who already have a business degree within the last 7 years, so they don't have to repeat the core business classes. And then we offer a 48 credit hour 2-year program that's open to any undergraduate major. And we start, from scratch, the curriculum, build it upwards. The programs, both options are general degrees that focus in management and leadership. They do have 3 intakes a year, so we do start every fall, spring, and summer, and I'm excited about our new group starting here this Friday. The great thing I would say about our program, when you look at it, is that not only do you have that cohort, small group, team-based mentality, but you have the larger Warrington brand, the larger UF brand, behind you, and maybe unlike some of the other programs, we offer our online program in an asynchronous format, meaning our faculty have pre-recorded their lectures. Our students are able to download them, watch them at their own pace and convenience. And even though the structure of the curriculum is set to be in our, predetermined semesters, a student can on average expect to spend about 15 to 20 hours a week watching their lectures, working on group projects or with their teams, individual assignments, case studies, things like that. So it is asynchronous. So people who are traveling or in different time zones can very easily pursue this program. And because it is cohort based, we have that kind of fairly strict, you're going to graduate in 16 months if you're in our accelerated program, or 24-month if you are in the 2-year option. Now, of course, if life happens, we'll adjust, right? So if you need to take that time off or you need to adjust your load, we'll gladly kind of work with students, but the strength of the cohort really ensures that you kind of get in, you get out, and that you're successful throughout the course of the program. And when you also look at the structure of the program, we do have one campus residency requirement for orientation, because once again, coming to campus, being able to experience who your cohort members are, meeting the faculty, feeling the strong kind of UF culture is something that is a pride of ours. So we want students to come and feel truly a part of the program. Of course, during these times, that's not required. However, hopefully we'll get back to this notion where students want to come back to campus. But beyond that, there are some experiential learning components, residency elective weeks. We're part of the consortium of schools that do business policy or health admin policy at our Washington campus. We have our global immersion trips. We do speaker series. We do all these things beyond the classroom that we think really make the program a rich opportunity for students to go beyond the classroom and learn how to fine tune their business acumen.
Great, good. And Marianne, how about Cincinnati?
Well, thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be here. I love hearing the diversity of programs. It's remarkable how varied our MBAs are, really even as they are also similar, isn't it, when we hear it? For us, really, one of the key words is flexibility. We've heard it multiple times. Learning is so personal. The decision to come to an MBA, your distinctive characteristics, backgrounds, motivation when you join us. Our program is 38 to 48 credit hours, depending on the foundations you bring into the program, and we're highly modular. So by that, I mean we have 6 starts per year. Our next start that we'll be opening is October 14th. We know life changes. It is extremely challenging to be a working professional, which is overwhelmingly our student population, and to succeed and complete an MBA. We want to make sure that flexibility supports our students wherever your life and career takes you. It is asynchronous, so I appreciate NAS's definition because it's helpful to understand the variety again we see with asynchronous to synchronous. And I think if I can go to your point you mentioned earlier, John, about the difference between remote and online, I think people are often surprised at what asynchronous looks like, the power for learning. But by being asynchronous, it is truly fits your schedule, the how, where, when you need to be completing your coursework. And it is also exceptionally interactive, but in a different format. So I think that's key.
And actually, we should, for our audience, we should define synchronous versus asynchronous.
Sure.
Because a lot of, these are terms that are not commonly used in conversation outside of our industry. So it may be helpful for people to know. How do you define asynchronous?
Well, and I'd love to hear some others as well. But I mean, I would say probably the simplest way to think about it is synchronous means that you're online at the same time. It's a live interactive setting, which means there are time and date constraints, but it's also a different kind of interactivity. Asynchronous means they are pre-developed, not just recorded, but all of the interactivity, exercises, case studies, et cetera, are fully developed with instructional designers before, so that the time, the when, the where, the how is up to the individual. So that's really the constraint difference or flexibility difference between the two.
Right, that's a really good definition, both. So that explains it. So what's really cool about the 4 programs that we have is 2 are solely online, although there are in-residence sessions at Florida. Are there in-residence sessions at Cincinnati at all or not?
There are not. There are opportunities to come to campus for various things, but they're not required in the program.
Right, great. So, and then we have 2 that's both asynchronous and synchronous, one with in-residence sessions, 2 Connect Weeks, and one that doesn't require you to go to campus at all at Howard University. So you see these are some of the really interesting differences that get into the consideration set of where you want to go, what you want to do, and also the intakes. It's just incredible. Like Indiana, you have, did you say 2 intakes, right? Okay,
Yeah,
in Cincinnati
exactly.
you have 6, right? And so you have lots of different options here, which I think are really terrific for the student, the would-be student. So let's talk a little about class profile. Class profile, I think, in general, when I look at class profiles across online MBA programs, they're quite similar as they are in actually full-time MBA programs. But there generally are some slight differences here and there, and it could be related to brand. Like if you're a Carnegie Mellon, for example, it has a hybrid program. They attract a high percentage of engineers, not surprisingly. And there could be related to geography as well. Some programs draw more international students than others. Most online MBA programs draw regionally. There's this belief that most people in online MBA programs are within a 250-mile radius of the school, even though all the geographic barriers come down. Schools that are in a certain area have a certain cachet for a lot of students, and it matters to them. Because degree and the brand may have more value that way. So let's talk about the class profile. Marianne, let's start with you. Who comes to your program?
No, I appreciate that setup because you're right. The barriers come down. I mean, as we said, we're totally asynchronous 6 starts. So our students can join us from around the world. They do tend to be heavily working professionals because that's the type of student who needs that flexibility. It gives a great opportunity we know that students are going to learn as much from each other as they do from anyone. So having a tremendous class profile of people coming from all sorts of industries as well as around the world is absolutely critical. If you look at our profile, typically it is more national than international, but it is from all over.
And your average age of a student would be what?
Our average age, it'll be, typically they'll have anywhere from 2 to even 10 years of work experience, so it varies quite a bit. We're really looking for students who have the motivation to be here because they see it as a tremendous time to accelerate and or pivot their careers, but they've started their careers. And so that gives you a different motivation for being in the classroom and again, making that learning personal.
And what's your gender split?
Say that again.
How many men, how many women?
I'm looking at my team who's on the line. We have a good split, if I remember correctly, and I don't have the exact numbers. I think typically we're about 60-40 men to women. It's always something that we're working on to make sure that we increase that diversity, really diversity along all lines. I think to me, one of the most powerful in the classes, at least that I've had the opportunity to work with, is that interdisciplinary split as well. I think it's remarkable. The disciplines, both as undergraduates, but also in industries, when people bring them to the classroom, you can get so much more out of the materials and the projects and cases that we study.
Sarah, give us a sense of the class profile for Kelley.
Certainly. I want to build on what Marianne just said because I completely agree that that interdisciplinary split is just so absolutely critical. About a third of our students are coming from the healthcare industry, a third are coming from engineering, a third are coming from finance and that industry. But really, when you break it down into all the sub-industries, we have about 13 different industries represented in our program. So I do agree that interdisciplinary split really brings a magic to the classroom experience that I think is unparalleled. Our students' average age is 33. And also agreeing with Marianne at the level of experience in our online MBA, we have a 9-year average years of experience. So many of our students are already managers, vice presidents, and really just kind of looking for that extra leg up as they're looking to continue to advance in their careers. But really our professionals are amazing in that they are able to take their current years of experience, their current background in all of their different industries, whether they're looking to advance or to pivot. Many of our students are looking to pivot industries. Some are looking to do a real hard change and do a completely new industry, which is exciting too. So we have a lot of different backgrounds of our students. We have about a 75-25, actually our last class profile for male to female ratio is actually about 28% female. Mm-hmm. And obviously we're always looking to increase on that particular metric. We have about 11% military, really have a strong military presence within the program, and about 14% international students.
Great, thank you. And Karen, your inaugural class at Howard, what did it look like?
Yes, so we had probably about we try to keep about a 50-50 split. So we did see about that for this particular first cohort. It was actually an older cohort than we typically see, given that we're looking for, with the basic requirements, about 2 years of professional experience that usually warrants a student that may have just graduated from undergraduate studies. It also has the requirement of a GMAT or a GRE. So when those things are taken into consideration, again, that lends itself to a younger candidate looking into the program, but very similar to the Cincinnati program as well as the Kelley program. We do see a range in reference to what the backgrounds are and the level of experience that our students come with. Our primary goal for the program is to really get you to that next level, whether it be, middle to upper management or possibly entrepreneurship. So with that said, there have been some candidates, some of our students that have been in their careers for some time, but they haven't had the opportunity to move into that next level. An MBA is that key piece that will allow for them to do that. So we do see a range as well, but typically speaking, we're probably seeing an average maybe about 25, but with this first cohort, our inaugural cohort, I would say it's probably a little on the, a little older, maybe closer to 35 in terms of the age range of our students. But we certainly want to keep it very open. We don't necessarily have specializations. We really want to look at that student as a holistic student that really wants to get the business acumen to have a really strong foundation in business. So we really look at them all as the the same student, regardless of background, whether it be healthcare, construction, engineering. It's more so that you have this desire to go into business. So we really want to make sure that we're looking at where they're starting, hence the GMAT or the GRE, regardless of background, and then helping them to really have a strong base in terms of business as they go through the 2-year program.
So Karen mentioned something that I think a lot of people would be interested in. Is the GMAT or GRE required? There are a lot of online MBA programs that require it, and there are a lot that don't. And then there are a lot of programs that require it, but waive it given the amount of work experience you bring into the program. Before we go to the class profile and Naz, where are you on the GMAT GRE?
So we typically do require the GMAT or the GRE. That can't be waived based off of professional experience, although we will gladly waive it if an applicant possesses another graduate or professional degree. And kind of current era with testing limitations, if you will, we are waiving the testing requirement. But for the most part, pre all of this, we do require the GMAT or the GRE.
Right. I know Kelley does, and increasingly you're doing more waivers than you had in the past, right?
Certainly. We've been really conscious of the current state of affairs with COVID. So making sure that we're taking into and balancing the current state of affairs with, at the same time, knowing that we want to keep our class profile as high as we can. And the GMAT or GRE is one criterion that we can look at to kind of round out someone's professional profile, their GPA and their undergraduate academic experience or graduate academic experience. We're looking at their career progression. That's really critical for us. So again, it's one data point. It's not the only data point. I know that you'll hear many schools say that, but certainly we have an opportunity there that if we have someone with 10 plus years of experience, I'll really be looking closely at their resume, their career progression, and their interview. So we're not making decisions until we've met you personally on being able to really talk through if we have questions about your resume and your background, if we have questions about a particular data point that might not look so great for you on a resume, but certainly we can talk with you about that before making our decisions around waiving a test requirement or not. And again, COVID, we've had to make some tough decisions there too.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we are in unprecedented time. Most test centers are still closed. The online tests for both GMAT and GRE, I've had some well-reported technical them that have been quite upsetting for candidates who study for the exam. The online GMAT can only be taken once. The online GRE can be taken multiple times, but there are a lot of constraints right now that are going to lead schools to be much more flexible in their admission policies, both at full-time, online MBA, every MBA program. Marianne, do you require a GMAT or GRE or not?
Not this year. We always apply holistic admissions and have waiver opportunities, but a critical element of our holistic admissions is understanding the student's motivation. Why are they coming? What do they see as the purpose and opportunity? Because we know then that's a great way to understand how the student will make the most of the experience and build the cohort.
Right. And Naz, give us a sense of your class profile. And you probably have two very different ones, right? Based on the accelerated program versus the longer program.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. So with our 2-year program, on average, this group comes in with a minimum, well, everyone's required to have a minimum of 2 years of professional experience, but typically our 2-year students, they tend to be a little further out. They have a little bit more experience. On average, let's say they have about 7-8 years of experience with an average age of 30, whereas our 1-year accelerated students, because that degree has to have been obtained within the last 7 years, it kind of automatically brings down that class average in terms of both age and professional experience, which usually hovers closer to about 4 or 5 years of experience and average age around 25, 26. But, when you look at kind of the geographic spread of our students, most of them are domestic students, but I would say even more so going into detail, 50% tend to be within the state of Florida, but the other half of the group for both our online 1-year and 2-year programs are coming from kind of just about every state. And another interesting kind of component that everybody's touched up on is the fact that we have our male to female ratio. Obviously, we'll change with cohort to cohort, but usually hovers right around 35% female, and then of course the corresponding male ratio. Now, I think also, when we talk about the disciplines and both academic as well as functional areas, I mean, of course, students are coming from all different backgrounds. Those who do our 2-year program, it's even more widespread. Those who do our 1-year program, they have to have that business degree. So it kind of creates that common denominator that, of course, somebody might have a, supply chain management or marketing or accounting degree. That will vary, but they all have that business degree for that accelerated program. So, and then the kind of final bit is, I would say that about 33% of our class, both the 1-year and the 2-year students, are seeking other career opportunities. So we do have a lot of people that are, kind of looking to grow within their organization. Some that maybe haven't yet, thought about making that transition, but are open to the opportunities. But then about a third are actively working with our career coaches and making connections with our vast network to, seek new opportunities.
And Karen, I should have mentioned this as well. I imagine that your executive MBA online has a significantly older student population than your part-time online, right?
You would be correct. And actually that program has been in operation for 8 years total. And actually we've been, prior to this year, we actually were online previous as well. So we've had some years. Yes, so we've had some years online with the executive MBA, but to your point, yes, our student population tends to be a bit older, around the age of 35. The cohorts are, still about the same in terms of size. We still try to keep it very close in terms of the split between females and males. But yes, it definitely is an older population, given that we do require a minimum of 7 years of professional experience post-undergraduate studies. Of course, that can be reviewed dependent upon the background of that student. We do have students that come from a military background, but some students started their careers in business. It took off, and then they went back to get an undergraduate degree. And then we also have the minimum requirement of 5 years of managerial or leadership roles as well that can be easily illustrated within their resume as well. So that definitely puts us in a different arena as well in terms of the type of candidate that we look for the executive MBA program.
Great. Let's pretend I'm a student and I want to know, or rather I would express, what are the 3 things about each of your programs that I would like the most? Sarah, what are the 3 things that really stand out to your students?
Yeah, fantastic question. So the first thing that I always hear when we've extended admission to someone and they email me back and they are so excited and they say, I've heard amazing things about your program. I am so excited that I just gained admission to your program. And normally what they're hearing through the grapevine, what they're hearing from their colleagues who've gone through our program, is they loved the connections that they make. So I know that we're an online program, but we always say, you'll find this on our website, we're an online program that doesn't feel like an online program because of how many connections in person. And when I say in person, that could be through any modality. So that could be connecting in person online, that could be connecting in person face-to-face. But they have so many opportunities to do so. So the first of those being within our Kelley Connect Week experience, really that phenomenal 1 week at the beginning of the program, 1 week at the end of the program, that seals the deal for most of our students. They absolutely love that experience in person. That's a live case competition where you work with a domestic client during your first week and an international client during your second week. So you're networking during that week with our clients, you're networking with others in the program, and you have a really tight-knit bonding experience during those weeks. A second way to connect in person is through our Student Leadership Association. So our Student Leadership Association, SLA, how we refer to it, it's our group of students. We have a board of SLA members. They are students, all, of course, working professionals, but dedicating time to making sure that this program is meeting all of the needs of our students and providing additional opportunities to connect and network. So they're doing webinars. Our military association just did a personal branding webinar for their members, women in business, entrepreneurship. If you're interested in it, you name it, you have an association to join. And you don't have to be in that industry. You can be joining an association in order to network and move into that realm. And then speaking of moving in your career, the third highlight of our program would really be our graduate career services. They're absolutely stellar. They are unmatched. We pair each of our students with an individualized career coach. So you not only get an individualized academic advisor, it's the same person. You know, you're calling Quentin on the phone. He's your academic advisor. You get Quentin every time. You do the same thing with your graduate career services coach. You're calling Stephanie. You're getting Stephanie's feedback in your resume. Oh man, you just got an interview come up. You want to call Stephanie and do a mock interview. Oh, great. Now you got to negotiate. Calling back Stephanie, really working through those negotiation tactics. You get that same person every time. And really, we've heard that time and again from our students. They feel so kind of overwhelmed by the personal connections they're able to make, and they were not expecting that from an online environment. So those are the three things that obviously I get excited about, but I'm excited about them because our students are so excited about them.
Great. Marianne, what are the three things that students talk about most, really resonates with them out of your program? Oh, I don't hear you. Is everyone else, can we hear you? Maybe.
Sorry about that. You'd think after all this time being remote, we'd know this. No, I was saying that at Lindner, I think our big three are our problem solving focus, our community, and our flexibility. If I start with, we've talked a bit about the flexibility. We just think that's so critical to helping people make the most of this. We've talked about the modularity, but we also have specialized certificates. So you build the foundations and you bolt on the kind of specialization that you're seeking. In terms of our community, I would echo what Sarah said. I mean, career coaches, everybody has a personalized career coach. It's absolutely critical. So are our 40,000 plus alumni around the world who are mentors and networks. That community gives a sense of belonging even as an asynchronous program, but they're there wherever you go. And the third one we haven't really talked about, at least from my side, is that our purpose at Lindner is that we empower problem solvers. And so we take this problem solving focus very seriously in every course, helping students identify their own problem solving strengths, capabilities, and really build upon them in ways that are of great value to employers, but also help them find and leverage their own personal purpose, because that's so critical to making the most of the experience.
Yeah, that's true. And, a lot of people who are considering MBA programs will probably underappreciate the amount of personal development you will go through.
Absolutely.
Sure, you're going to learn accounting, finance, marketing strategy, etc. Sure, you're going to do a deep dive in a subject area probably. And you're going to learn a lot from your classmates. But the truth is, you're going to really develop as a person, as a human being, to more fully realize your potential. Naz, your big three.
All right, thank you. So I would say first and foremost, the community. So we, like I said earlier, we're a small size cohort. So we're bringing in about 50 students a cohort, but then you're part of the larger MBA community of about 50. And as we all know, the value of the network is there. So I would say first and foremost, looking at the community. Then, when you talk about the community, it's both the immediate as well as the broader. And to the point earlier, the vastness of the Warrenton brand, we have over 75,000 Warrenton alum and over 475,000 Gators out there. So vast network, and near about 11,000 MBAs. So we have the strong network. We have the beyond the classroom experience. So I'd say number two is our commitment to the student experience, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom. And that outside of the classroom, talk about our global immersion experiences, our personal and professional development, the career coaching, going back to having the advisors, both the academic and the career advisors. So all of that and making that rich student experience. And then the third thing, I have to say our faculty, right? Because they are what make our program as, globally recognized as it is. Because, it takes them to not only be able to deliver the core, the skill set that our students need, but it's, of course, them kind of rethinking their classes to focus on market-driven curriculum and being able to articulate how it is that they can apply what they're learning in the classroom to their workforce to get that immediate ROI.
Great. Karen, how about you?
Sure. So in terms of the three things that I would highlight. First, Howard University. As a whole, it is a very well-known name, in the HBCU arena, but overall. And so the thing that I probably hear the most when I talk to candidates is their excitement that they're able to have that connection with Howard University without having to live in the nation's capital. So I would say probably that's one of the biggest pieces of our program, allowing our students to have the opportunity to still be a part of the Howard Bison family from wherever they are. So really having that connection to the Howard culture, really feeling as if they have that connection to a university that was formed and based to help those of diverse backgrounds, the underrepresented. So that's definitely a key piece in terms of our program. We really want to make sure that the Howard culture is very strong. It's threaded throughout the experience. So with the live classes, the same professors that you'll have, in your classes on campus or in the residency MBA program is very important. Having the virtual office hours to continue that connection is very important to our students as well. So really just making sure that they still feel a part of the larger school and institution base. Second to that, I would say just the level of coursework and what you're really getting from this program. So though we are online, very similar to the Kelley program, you're not losing anything from doing our program online. In some cases, because you're able to be more flexible, you don't have to think about what you're going to do about your full-time work or family work-life balance. It really allows for the student to really engage in the coursework, having it be very group team-based. You're really building a strong connectivity within the classroom, but you're really building those lasting relationships that last outside of the classroom. We do encourage our students to not only engage with each other inside the classroom, but to also engage outside of the classroom. We have a student success coach that is there for additional resources, but one of the things that she does for our students is to try to connect them if there is a regional opportunity to do so. Of course, we know that we are in, again, unprecedented times, but we try to make sure that they feel that connection overall. Also giving them opportunities to really springboard some of their experiences. So working on case studies, not just something that is being read, but really actually working for small businesses and helping them to really build upon something that they're doing. They're doing that in the classroom so that when they leave our program, they feel ready to go into that management role or to possibly start their own businesses as well. So that's very important to the experience. And then finally, the network. Howard is home to over 120,000 alum that love to come back to visit us. And our network is just very, very strong in terms of Howard overall. When you look at the School of Business, it is very strong there as well. So we do have opportunities for receptions and things of that nature throughout the year for our students to connect. But then when you're looking at just our MBA students, we also offer opportunities for them to connect with each other. Of course, those opportunities are optional, but we want to make sure that they feel that network is very strong. So we have an MBA Alumni Association that has their own career services opportunities. We have the larger Alumni Association that has career service opportunities. But even from a regional standpoint, they're able to connect with other Howard Bison, whether it be national or whether they go overseas. They always have that connectivity there. So that's a really big point of this program, first for the MBA experience, but then overall in terms of being a Howard Bison.
What I love about these answers, frankly, is how they tell me that online MBA education has come a long way, right? Because in many cases, we're talking about features that we would more normally identify with full-time programs, personal development, one-on-one coaching, experiential learning, the development of community, alumni networks, clubs and organizations, which you wouldn't naturally think would exist in an online environment, but in fact do and can, and schools are funding them. And these are all things that have been brought from on-campus programs into the online environment in a very effective way in really strong programs, which is terrific. So now, is there an ideal student with the right personality, the right background for your particular program? Karen?
I think that's a great question. I think that with our program, it's really not necessarily that perfect student. What we're really looking for is a student that has that drive and that determination, and they really see this program as being the tool and the driver for them getting to that next step. So as we talked about some of the main requirements for a student to enter into our program, the professional years, 2 years of experience, we want to make sure that you have seen what it looks like to work professionally. We look at the GMAT as one point of reference, but we also look at their personal statements. One thing that we actually talk to our students a lot about in our webinars that we host with our program directors is talking not only about what has worked well for you, but also talking about those times in either your professional careers or possibly your academic careers where you may have possibly fallen a little short, and how are you able to triumph over that? So when a student is able to engage with us not only about their successes, but also talk with us about what they are able to accomplish beyond possibly something that may not have worked well, that's the type of student that we want. We want that person that realizes that they can continue to improve and they desire to do that, and they want to utilize our program as a way to continue to transcend their opportunities and continue to grow in terms of a business professional, both nationally, both internationally, which is very important to us, and also with the changing and evolving times that we are obviously seeing at this point. So that's really what's important to us and the type of student that we seek.
Right. Naz?
Yeah, so I think everybody, from the culmination of the holistic review process to Karen's point, exactly, it's kind of how well can that applicant tell their story about where they've come from and what decisions they've made that have kind of curated them to this point of right now saying an MBA is this is the right time, this is the right fit. I almost, think that when we look at applicants, it's not so much about, them being able to highlight all of the great things that they've accomplished, but the teachable moments of exactly to Karen's point, what worked, what didn't work, what are the things that they maybe didn't do so well, but the learning moments from that. And I think so much about the MBA is not only, your ability to articulate why this is important for you and your personal and professional growth, but it's also, recognizing that today's world, you're not isolated, that you work with peers, that you can't do things by yourself. And, I guess some people could live in silos, but so another big component that we look at is the teamwork dynamic, because we want students ready, eager, engaged to join the community, to participate, to work with their peers, to learn from their peers. And so these are kind of all the, if you will, the soft things that you find in the application when you're, reading through essays and looking at recommendation letters. And, I think that the undergraduate GPA is kind of one point, but it doesn't tell everything, nor does, the testing requirement. So it's kind of looking at that holistic, that holistic component, but really understanding that if somebody can well articulate why it is that they think that this will be a good fit for them, and they've really thought through the value proposition of what we as a school has to offer and how that aligns with their personal and professional goals, then we want to help make that happen for them.
Great. Sarah, is there an ideal Kelley candidate?
We talk a lot at Kelley about the Kelley momentum. One of our kind of taglines is go from moment to momentum. And my team and I actually go back to that, even though it was just a tagline, it was a marketing slogan, thought up years ago. We actually go back to that a lot because there's a lot there to be said about someone who is driven. And can we see drive, even for an early career professional, can we see drive on a resume? Can we see that they have momentum at going for something? Because those are the people who are going to bring a lot to the classroom experience. We are not looking for students who want to sit back and take in. We are looking for students who want to sit in those classes, in those Zoom sessions, engaging with the faculty, asking hard questions, engaging with their peers in those group projects. We want the students who are ready to step into leadership roles on our Student Leadership Association board, those who are ready and really driven to win our Kelley Connect Week competitions, right? We don't want someone who's just there for the food. So we want somebody who's really in it to win it. So there is something about drive and about Kelley momentum that I think we kind of go back to every time is, does it feel like this person is really going somewhere? And if so, we want to help them get there. So we're looking at, like Naz was saying, a lot of different data points on the resume. We're looking at that interview. And then we're also looking at how might this person and their background fit with our over 120,000 Kelley Business School alumni. So we have one of the largest business school alumni bases in the US. And so we have 120,000 strong that are looking to grow, that are looking to improve their careers, and they want others to join the network as well. We're going to help them get there. So looking at what the fit is within Kelley and the program for them, are they going to bring that drive and that energy that we're looking for?
So Marianne, how do I know that I'm the perfect fit for your program?
You know, I love hearing the different answers, and I hope it's helping those on this call. Just think about, we're all talking about motivation.
Right.
Is how are we digging into the motivation of the prospective student? And you can hear the cultures of the different schools. I've said it at Lindner, we're focused on empowering problem solvers. We're looking for students from past and as they look to their future who run into the problems, who are always thinking about, how do I expand my toolkit, broaden my worldview, build out my strengths, but also understand more my weaknesses and how I might make up for them via teams and others. But it's that combination that helps us also sense from the many data points that we've all mentioned. We see that grit, we see that motivation, and we know that they are a good fit so that this is not a commodity. This is something that they can really turn into their own learning experience. But I love the variation here. It's great.
Yeah, it really is. So Marianne, if you were to give advice to someone who's looking at these programs, what's your best advice?
Well, I think it goes back to your last question and everybody talking about how we dig into motivation. I would say to people who are looking to apply, what is your motivation? Spend some time reflecting and really thinking about, why is it you want an MBA? What do you want out of it for you? Why now? I mean, I think the more you spend some time really getting to the heart of your purpose in going into the MBA, the better off you're going to be in having the interviews, writing your essays, but also talking to your recommenders, because we all read those letters very carefully, and we want to hear that there's this consistency, that people see you, they understand what you're going for, and maybe most importantly, if not obviously most importantly, that you understand. Right. Because these are for more senior professionals, so we'd like to see that you've already had some foundation and you want to run.
Now, there is often a belief that online MBA programs are best for what we would call them career accelerators, and less good for career switchers who want to change their industry, their geography, their discipline, or maybe even all three at once. Sarah, what's your view on that?
So I agree with you when you say that, you know, in the past, there was kind of this thinking around that kind of traditional MBA was for those who really wanted to do a hard switch. I actually have found recently, now I've been with the program for a year, but even through this last cycle, we're getting folks who are understanding the value of our Graduate Career Services Office. And although a hard industry pivot is difficult, that it is doable even through utilizing an online program and the Graduate Career Services available to online MBA seekers. So again, although I think it was probably a little more difficult in the past, like you're saying, online MBA programs have evolved so much through the years that no matter what your background, you're going to be able to get whatever skills you need to make a pivot. And whether that's a hard pivot, which many of our students have made that tough change, and we give them the reality of how tough that change is going to be at the get-go, or they're making a soft switch, we have that conversation right at the front. And Eric Johnson is our Graduate Career Services Director. He'll be on our program specific breakout in just a little bit. So if you want more information on this, feel free to visit our breakout. But he'll really talk through what that looks like, and that, yes, this is difficult, but it's doable. And here's some ways that our Graduate Career Services Office can kind of walk you through what this pivot or this switch might look like.
Karen, do you think your program is best for a career accelerator, meaning doing better, achieving more responsibility, getting job promotions, getting raises in a company you're already in? or is it good for people who want to actually leave their company, go to something totally new in a totally different industry, maybe even a different discipline?
I actually think it's for both. Sarah, you mentioned some great things just about how the landscape has changed for MBA programs, but I also think that the landscape has changed when you're looking at job opportunities and how you view a career at this point. A lot of what our students are seeing, specifically for our part-time MBA online program, they've just been in their careers for 2 years. It's a different landscape. Even thinking about COVID environment, you really have to be able to pivot. You really have to be able to understand that, maybe this is what you planned when you graduated from undergrad. Maybe these are the opportunities that are presented to you at this time. So really what our program wants to focus on is whether it is a required pivot, whether it is a desired pivot, or whether you've desired, after having some of that professional experience that, maybe you just want to go out on your own and do it yourself. We really want to make sure that your foundation is strong, and that you're able to do any of those opportunities at any point in time and still feel ready and capable to do it, whether, to your point, being an accelerator or someone that's looking to, do something totally different. So that's really what our focus is, more of that strong foundation from a global sense, but then also from a sense of you just, again, being a very well-equipped professional.
Yeah, and I think this is really, in fact, another way that online MBA programs have evolved. As more career services support has been poured into them, it's allowed the programs to be used for career switching as well as career acceleration. Naz, here's a question for you, and this is going to be for everybody, and then we'll move on to the breakout sessions where our audience can actually go into a room and ask direct questions on their own of each of our panelists. What's the soonest a student could actually enroll in your program?
Are you free on Friday? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. So our next intake will start in January, and so that is our spring intake. And so those who want to start as early as January, the deadline to apply is December 1st.
Great, Marianne.
Oh, absolutely. Our next intake is October 14th. We'd love to see them.
And the application deadline for the October 14th intake?
It will be about 2 weeks prior.
Oh, okay. See, that's another
we keep
benefit
it very
of
much
online MBA
fluid.
programs. There's not this long wait, and there's all this mystery about.
No, life's too fluid at this moment to be.
Yeah, and we
have to be agile.
The anxiety from the process.
Absolutely.
Karen, how about your program? What's the soonest one can enroll in it?
Oh, yes, we have a spring cohort that we are currently recruiting for that starts in January. Our first priority deadline for our students is September 25th.
Is that for both the executive MBA and the part-time?
That is correct. So they both have a spring start. First priority deadline is September 25th. And we do offer rolling admissions. So very similar to Marianne, you do not have to do the waiting game or wait until all of the applications are in. We do try to do it on an ongoing basis for our students so that they are able to plan ahead for what that experience will look like when they do start classes in the spring.
Great. And for Kelley Direct?
Yep, so we're bringing in our spring group. So we are currently taking applications now until January 15th. That's our application deadline for our spring group, which starts in late February.
Great. Well, listen, it's been a real pleasure. Karen, Naz, Sarah, and Marianne, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Even I learned a lot from this. And I'm dangerously obsessed with all this stuff. So for me to learn a lot, that's a big deal. So I want to let everyone know out there that you can now speak directly with the schools on our panel in the breakout rooms. You'll find the links to the chat rooms on the schedule that you have. You should do that because I'm sure you have lots of your own questions. And the beauty of this is that you can ask them directly and get a real answer because we didn't have a Q&A session. So again, thank you for joining us. We have another panel that will start at 10. That's 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm actually out here on the West Coast. which meant that I had to get up really early for this. I've only had 1 cup of coffee too, so there you go. So Karen, Naz, Sarah, Marianne, thank you so much. And we'll see you soon.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, John.
Take care.